in the blessed household of Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him, and his noble wife Sarah, there existed a longing that stretched across the years, a longing that tested their patience and faith in Allah. Ibrahim, already chosen by Allah as Khalilullah, the friend of God, had been blessed with many trials and victories, but one desire remained unfulfilled in the heart of Sarah, the yearning for a child of her own. She had grown old in the service of Allah, standing beside her husband in his mission, yet her womb remained empty and her heart often heavy. But faith has a way of breathing hope into despair, and the story of Ishaq begins with this hope. One day, when Ibrahim was visited by angels disguised as men, they brought with them more than one message. They were on their way to destroy the people of Lut, a nation drowned in sin, but before they left, they turned to Ibrahim and Sarah with news that would change their lives forever. The angels announced, "We give you glad tidings, a son, endowed with knowledge, a prophet among the righteous." Sarah, upon hearing this, laughed in amazement, unable to contain the mixture of joy and disbelief. How could she, an old woman with gray hair, bear a child? How could Ibrahim, an aged man, become a father again? Yet the angels reassured her. "Do you marvel at the command of Allah? His mercy and blessings be upon you, O people of the house." And so the promise was sealed. Not long after, the miracle unfolded. Sarah conceived, and in due time she bore Ishaq, peace be upon him, a child of laughter, light, and hope. His very name, Ishaq, meaning he will laugh, or laughter, reflected the joy and astonishment of his birth. The once quiet halls of Ibrahim's home now echoed with the cries and laughter of a baby, and both parents were overwhelmed with gratitude. For them, Ishaq was not merely a son but a sign, a reminder that patience is never wasted, and that Allah's promise always comes true, no matter how delayed it may appear. From his earliest days, Ishaq was surrounded by an environment unlike any other. He was the son of Ibrahim, who had challenged kings, shattered idols, built the Kaaba with his own hands, and had shown the world the essence of submission to Allah. He was a half-brother of Ismail, who had been laid upon the altar of sacrifice, a young man of strength and resilience, raised in the desert near the sacred house. Ishaq inherited the calmness of his mother and the strength of his father, and together these qualities shaped his noble character. Ibrahim loved both his sons dearly. With Ismail, he had experienced a test of sacrifice, a test that shook the heavens, and with Ishaq, he experienced a miracle of hope. Both children were dear to him, yet each had their unique destiny. Ibrahim would often look at Ishaq and see not only the joy of his old age, but the continuation of his mission. He knew that prophethood would flow through Ishaq's line, just as it would through Ismail, creating two branches of divine guidance destined to shape history. As Ishaq grew into boyhood, he learned directly from Ibrahim. He witnessed his father's unwavering devotion, the long hours of prayer under the stars, the constant call to his people to worship Allah alone. He saw how his father showed kindness even to those who rejected him, and how he held firm even in the face of hostility. These lessons became etched into the heart of the young boy, nurturing within him a spirit of humility and strength. Sarah, too, played a great role, instilling in Ishaq the values of patience, generosity, and modesty. Together, his parents raised him not as an ordinary child, but as a chosen one, preparing him for the heavy mantle of responsibility that would one day rest upon his shoulders. The people of Canaan, where Ishaq lived, were not unlike other nations of that time. Many had turned to idols, worshipping stones and images instead of the Creator. Ibrahim, with Ishaq by his side, continued to remind them of the truth, calling them away from falsehood. For Ishaq, these moments were his early lessons in Dawah, learning how to speak with wisdom when to show patience, and when to remain silent. He was not fiery like Ismail, but gentle and soft-spoken, and this gentleness became his strength, for people were drawn to his calm words and noble character. Years passed, and the boy Ishaq grew into a young man. His heart was pure, his mind sharp, and his soul deeply connected to Allah. Then came the time when his father, Ibrahim, sought to secure his son's future, just as he had arranged for Ismail. He now prayed that Allah would bless Ishaq with a righteous partner who would support him in his mission. Ishaq was married to Rivka, a noble and pious woman, and from this marriage, Allah blessed him with twin sons, Esau and Yaqub. While both were beloved to him, Allah's wisdom was clear. Yaqub would carry forward the chain of prophethood. Ishaq, who himself had been born as a miracle, now saw the promise of Allah continuing through his children, and his heart swelled with gratitude. Even in his youth, Ishaq was known among the people as a man of purity and wisdom. He did not seek to command through force, nor did he chase after worldly power. His mission was simple yet profound: to guide his people back to the worship of Allah, to remind them of the covenant made with Ibrahim, and to keep alive the flame of Tawhid in a world surrounded by darkness. His voice was soft, but his words carried weight, for they came from sincerity and faith. The people who listened to him often found their hearts moved, for Ishaq spoke not to their ears, but to their souls. His life as a prophet was marked not by grand battles or conquests, but by quiet dedication, spiritual teaching, and nurturing of the generations that would come after him. As years turned into decades, Ishaq's role as a prophet deepened. He guided his household and community, always pointing them back to Allah, reminding them of the destruction of those who came before when they turned to arrogance and disbelief. His life was a living testimony to patience. Unlike his father Ibrahim, who had faced open confrontation, or his brother Ismail, who endured trials in a harsh desert, Ishaq's mission was a life of continuity, sustaining the legacy of faith in the land of Canaan. He lived among his people as a beacon of peace, his words free of harshness, his heart open to those willing to return to their Creator. Through him, the covenant of Allah remained alive, and his household became a place of light. His sons grew, and as they did, the test of fatherhood lay before him. Esau, the elder, was strong and active, a man of the outdoors, while Yaqub was gentle, thoughtful, and wise. Ishaq loved them both, but Allah's choice was clear. Yaqub was destined to inherit the gift of prophethood. In his old age, Ishaq would call his sons to his side, giving them blessings, guiding them, and reminding them that life is fleeting but the promise of Allah is eternal. The story of Yaqub, who would father the 12 tribes of Israel, begins here, with Ishaq's gentle hand passing on the trust that had once been given to him by his father Ibrahim. As time went on, Ishaq grew old. His hair turned white, his body weakened, and his sight dimmed until he became blind. Yet his heart never strayed from Allah, and his tongue never ceased in remembrance. Even in his blindness, he carried on teaching, his words flowing like a stream of wisdom for his family and those around him. When he felt that his time on earth was drawing to a close, he gathered his children, gave them his final advice, and reminded them of their duty to Allah, the one who never forgets his servants. Ishaq passed away peacefully, returning to his Lord after a life lived in patience, gratitude, and devotion. He was laid to rest beside his father Ibrahim and his mother Sarah in the land of Hebron, a resting place of prophets. The story of Ishaq, peace be upon him, is not filled with wars or mighty kingdoms, but it is filled with lessons for every believer. It tells us that miracles happen when hope seems lost, that patience is always rewarded, and that gentleness can be as powerful as strength. His life was a bridge between Ibrahim and Yaqub, a link in the unbroken chain of prophethood that led to Musa, Dawud, Suleiman, and Isa. Peace be upon them all. The legacy of Ishaq remains alive in the hearts of those who value faith, humility, and the certainty that Allah's promise never fails. His story is a light for those who wait, those who endure, and those who trust their Lord even when the world seems silent.